Hey, Scotties, welcome back to your menu activities. I hope that you are learning lots and getting super prepared for this school year. So, I'm here to talk to you about the first several days of school. And as you guys know, those days are quite they can be quite hectic if we're not prepared. Now, we'll say the last several, at least last year, ran rather smoothly, and I think that's a credit to you guys as you were on top of things. So let's keep that trend going. So we're gonna jump in. I've got my notes so I stay on task and don't chase too many squirrels. So here we go. First, the first 4 days of school, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the following Monday, everybody is on duty. The entire school. If you work at Scott, you are here at 7 o'clock. Teachers, you are in your classrooms ready to receive kids at 7. And all other support staff and specials teachers, we will assign you duty stations, primarily with rosters if you're a special teacher, kind of helping direct parents and students to their classrooms. So just be prepared for that. Um, be sure that in those first 4 days, you are practicing and discussing arrival procedures so that kids know where to go on Tuesday. Starting Tuesday, they will be sitting in the hallways um, facing your door. They're not sitting with their back to the wall where they can easily talk to their friends. They're sitting facing forward with a book or sitting quietly or working on something. Um, but make sure you practice that procedure and have it down so that they know what to do come Tuesday. Remember that breakfast takes a lot longer. Getting everybody situated seems to take a lot longer. Our breakfast line usually wraps around that main hallway and down the back to the back 3 through 5 hallway. So we're very lenient with tardies those first few weeks. Kids don't know what they want. They don't know their names. Their parents want to eat breakfast with them. I mean, it's just craziness. So just be prepared to have kids trickling in for that first, half hour or so of school. Um, the you have two main things, two like priorities for that day. Don't lose anybody and know how they go home. Those are the two big things. So we need you to make sure it is imperative that you know how every kid goes home. Do not wait. Don't do it until 3 o'clock to say, oh my gosh, I don't know how this kid goes home. Don't do it. Don't. It'd be bad. Be sure that by noon, you know how every kid will go home. And remember, those first several days, some of their transportation is different from the rest of the year. So be very mindful of how every kid in your class is going home. If you do not know how they go home, you don't have a clear parent note or communication or anything, then please let us know. The best way to do that is put a sticky note on your white attendance sheet and send it up to the front office, and we will start calling parents as you have either conference or lunch. Start calling parents until we get a hold of somebody so that we know how to send every kid home. Um, be sure that you all send up your lunch count like you do every single day. That's nothing new. And then for attendance, you're going to get yours will be a half sheet. It looks like this with your directions for taking attendance. So I want to just go over them just to be sure. Um, just to be sure. We will take attendance using our paper rosters, and that'll be at 9:45, the same time as it was last year. Um, if a student is not physically in front of you, mark an A for absent next to the kids' names. And then students who are in your room but not on your roster, just write them in. We will be submitting Skyward electronically also, but then Christy will go back in. She always double checks the rosters and then the information on the rosters with Skyward and can make any adjustments that need to be made. So you will do those two things. Every kid, even our kinder friends, have to sign in on the first day of school. So be prepared for that as well. They have to sign in on your attendance sheet. So I would make lines down the side so they can write their names for our little ones. Your big ones can write next to it. And then a reminder, as always, will come over the announcements for attendance. So that's that. And if you have any questions, you can follow up with Christy Cheek on that. And then we are going to talk about dismissal. Dismissal is always the most exciting part of the day. See this face? This is not my real face. It's not exciting. Dismissal, those first at least 3, and I have a feeling it'll carry over to Monday as well, so 4 days, is always, always, always long. And everybody has summer brain and forgets it. Dismissal will take significantly longer those first several days. And I don't mean like, 20 minutes. Dismissal takes like 40 minutes to get every kid gone. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, one, busing isn't set up for every single kid. So we have more car riders. Parents want to pick up their kids on the first day of school, all those kinds of things. And so it just takes longer. So just be prepared for that and do everything you can in your power to prepare your parents. If parents are prepared and parents know, they're okay. But when they get here and they sit for 30 minutes waiting for their kid and they didn't know they were going to be sitting for 30 minutes waiting for their kid, they get testy. So just be very mindful of that. Whenever it's time for dismissal to start, we will be transitioning to our duty stations like we have done in the past. So make sure your grade level knows how you transition. We want to make sure that's very orderly and organized. So especially for our K2 friends, that last person in your grade level starts to trickle down. And so if you need help working out a plan with your grade level team, let me know. But I need for grade level leads to shoot me an email or stop by and tell me how your team is planning to dismiss your kids. We will call for grade levels those first several days into possibly several weeks. So we'll start at 250 with our kinder and first grade. Second and third, you most likely will be 255, and fourth and fifth will most likely be 3 o'clock. Fifth grade, you will be last specials this year. So your kids will probably need to take their backpacks with them. Buses have to pull away at 3:15, so that's kind of why we backed things up a bit. Please, for the love of God, please do not start transitioning until we call your grade level. It is what you don't realize if you don't teach K through KK at all, is it takes one person to cut in that line and they scatter like ants. And so we're monitoring the hallways to make sure it's kind of cleared out. And so we want to make sure that there aren't traffic jams or kids getting in the wrong places. So please wait until we call you. When you're transitioning and you're picking up kids, there should never, under any circumstance whatsoever, ever, never be a kid or kids in the hallway without an adult. It should never happen. So in your transition plan, you need to make sure you're accounting for somebody being in the hallway with kids. Um, Buses, our dismissal locations, we have a plan A and a plan B. So I'm not going to get into where we're dismissing now. We'll probably call if you have that duty on Tuesday during that workday. We'll call you for a 10-minute meeting at your dismissal spot and let you know where you're dismissing. We have a few things that we're trying to work out as far as changing the dismissal spots. So just know this though, if you are in the bus room, um, you have to check off every kid off the roster or every kid in the line. So one person is responsible for calling bus 152 names. Those kids need to be answering, and you need to make sure and check them off. Do not add any kids to the rosters. Do not. A couple of years ago, and it was well intentioned. The kid was sitting there, they weren't on the roster, they wrote them in, they put them on the bus, and we had a kindergartner riding around town, and the parent came to pick them up. So do not, the only person who can add someone to the bus roster is one of the secretaries up front or an admin. That is the only person ever, 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 ever. The second thing is you need to count the kids and make sure the number of the kids in that line matches the number of kids in that roster. Um, and really, the person calling the roster does not, you need to have a separate person who's counting just as a double check. Because last year we had a kid who was sitting in the line. They came by, they called the kid's name. We're looking for Johnny. He never says, "Hey, my name is Johnny." He just sits there, and we hadn't counted. And so if we hadn't come back in and gone down every row, he would have been put on a bus. So you need to check off names. Do not write names in. You need to count every kid and make sure the number in that line matches the number on the roster. For our car rider friends, you're going to be lined up by grade level. Our K1 friends, you need to know that you're going to be in there for a while. So kind of be thinking of some sort of fun activity, quiet sit down activity that you could do with the kiddos while you're waiting. Either book baskets or stories that you can tell or playing I Spy. Something to keep them going. And guys, you gotta know their names. So whether you have name tags for dismissal that are on their shirt, because you know how it is, those kinders and first graders will sit there and you will say, "Johnny, I need Johnny in kindergarten." Johnny wearing a red shirt, and Johnny is sitting there because they call him Bubba at home. His name's not Johnny. He doesn't know his name. So they just sit. Or they fall asleep. And so we need, when kinder names are called, up and down that aisle, looking for that kid to help them through dismissal. Our walkers have done a great job the past couple of years of wrangling everybody in and getting a good process for dismissing students. So our walkers will be going out most likely the ends of the hallways. Well, just disregard that until we decide that. But we will dismiss our walkers to go to the church or to up Avenue P towards 31st. Just know that we are responsible for those kids until they are off school property, which is the alleyway. So we need to walk them all the way. And they do not walk in a herd. They do not need to be pushing, playing, horse playing, fighting, any of that mess. And teachers don't need to be clumped in the front or the back. You're kind of like spread throughout, ensuring an orderly-ish dismissal. If you have problems with student behavior, let Amanda or I know, because we can also stagger some of our kids to dismiss if they're causing too much of an issue. And then last but not least are our walk-ups. So we have walkers and walk ups. These are students whose parents choose to park and walk up to the school and pick up their children. Um, Whenever we have walk ups, it's important to know a couple of things. One, they have to have a little card, just like our car riders will have a card um, saying, the kid's name and their grade level. One person is responsible for calling the names, and then we have runners. The runners are responsible for taking that kid to the parent. Kids should not ever, 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 under any circumstance, be leaving the building without an adult. We've had kids somehow wander out and wander through the crowd of parents. That's just so unsafe. So, if you're a runner, you are holding the kid's hand or holding onto their backpack and walking them to the parent and giving them to the parents. So please, please just be aware of that. Um, every kid during the first day Meet the Teacher night will be given a parent pickup pass. And that is how we know who to give which kids to. Okay. If you don't have a parent pickup pass, you have to come into the building, show your ID, we check you in the computer, and then we'll release the kids to you. So all car riders and all walk-ups have to have that pass. If they don't, car riders are told they have to park and go get a pass. And parents have gotten used to that. It's not as big of an issue now, but it can be. So just know that that'll be one of the pieces you put out for Meet the Teacher night. And just remember, like always, procedures, procedures, procedures. Those first several weeks of school, you can't say it enough. You need to remember to train for everything. Train for everything. And remember that behavior you ignore is behavior you permit. So if it's not working, you need to address it. If they're not meeting expectations, you need to address it. And then just to ease us into the back to school, we will have a jeans week that first week back. So Wednesday will be jeans and our new Scotty tees. Thursday will be jeans and a Scotty shirt. And then Friday we blew out for Temple High School. So Friday we will wear jeans and a Temple High School shirt. So I think that's everything on my notes. Pretty good. Didn't chase too many rabbits, so I think we're good. Enjoy the rest of your menu, and I can't wait to see you guys soon.